Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. I am the Inconsequential Runner and I'm joined here with my good buddy Craig. Hey Craig, how's it going, bud?
Hello. Hey, good yourself?
Yeah, pumped. It's good
awesome.
to actually have a bit of sun.
It is actually.
Here
It's
in-
been a tough summer so far.
It's been a tough summer in Los Angeles, thinking of them. It's
Yeah.
been a tough winter for them. Okay, what this video is all about, and the reason why I've asked Craig to come on is he's going to share with us some really cool insights because Craig got into running pretty seriously a little while ago and started to get some real gnarly times, some really fast times. So let's delve into what you did to get those fast times. And let's jump straight into it. So when did you first properly get into running? Because I think, how long ago was it where you're like, you flick the switch and you're like, I'm taking this stuff seriously?
I was always a runner as a kid. When I was younger, did athletics and that sort of stuff, and then that sort of got put to bed as when I got to high school and team sports take over and all that sort of stuff. So, but I always ran for fitness. I played rugby and cricket and rah. I ran for fitness, and when those days ended, generally to keep the weight off and that sort of thing, I did a few jogs a week or, in fits and starts.
Yeah.
Right? But a few years ago, probably about 6 or 7, my daughters started getting into their running, and they were actually quite good, and then got a coach and that sort of stuff, and I started taking a bit more interest in it myself as well. And first of all, just fitness, and then kind of the competitive edge kind of kicked in. I'm like,
How long ago did the competitive edge kick in? Because this is the part I remember.
I think I started going to park runs.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh, there's a lot of people a lot better than me. And how come? And, some people quite a bit older than me. And I was like, tipping my hat to them, guys like Bruce Atmore and that sort of thing, they could go sub 20 minutes. And I'm like, far out, the guy's like 8 years older than me, and he's doing that in his sleep. And I'm like, how come? And so then I sort of started asking a few more questions of my daughter's coaches and that sort of stuff. And, and then the competitive edge kicked in.
Yeah.
I started wanting to get better. Yeah.
Yeah, look, park run's a really great intro, and that's how I got back into running when I sort of seriously got into it. And it was during sort of COVID, so I think we're talking about 4 years ago. I was just like, nah, I want to start running.
Yeah.
And park run's perfect for that sort of stuff. And then you start running your sub 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Now, I remember I ran something like a sub 19. I think I got into running just a little bit before you, because I remember you commenting going, oh man, you're fast. But then it wasn't long before you jumped ahead of me and you were smashing stuff out of the park.
Yeah.
So when you think about when you started running seriously, what were the sorts of things you were doing at the start that you think really started to, pay dividends or started to really help you out?
I mean, initially running more regularly.
Yeah.
So instead of running once or twice a week, running 3 or 4 times a week.
Yep. And that was okay on the body?
Yeah,
transitioning to 3 to 4 times a week. So you didn't go to 1 or 2 times a week to 6 days a week. You went to the 3 to 4 and that was okay.
Yeah, and that was fine. But I mean, I came from a background where I was biking to work every day, sort of thing. So I had a level of fitness. I wasn't. I wouldn't call myself a competitive runner or anything like that. But I was fit. My doctor would say, you're in good shape for your age.
So you had that aerobic base.
Had aerobic
but
base.
With running, I think when you do transition to the 3 to 4 days, it's about the impact on your body because you're doing something new.
Yeah.
But that was okay for you, no dramas.
That was okay. I mean,
so what did those runs look like then? When you were running 3 to 4 days a week, what did that week look like?
Oh, at that stage, I'd probably just be doing like the Saturday park run would be the big event of the week.
Yeah.
I'd do a little bit of a warm up and a little bit of a warm down, but I didn't really understand much about that sort of stuff. But it was the intense.
How long was the warm up then?
Because I'd say a big warm up then would have been a kilometre.
Yeah, I was the same. And now I understand a big warm up now is closer to 4 or 5 Ks before you do that. Yeah, it's funny how things change.
And then a warm down probably then would be if maybe running back to get the wife or the kids or something, and then walking to the car, or a brisk walk to get a coffee, that sort of thing. So it was pretty casual at that point. And then in terms of the rest of the week, probably certainly running at a less intense level.
Yep.
But generally, my mindset was then if you went out for a run like 20, 30 minutes or something like that, you actually worked reasonably hard.
Yep.
There was no point in running easy.
No.
In the mentality of that side of things.
Yeah.
And then as I learnt more, I learnt to be better. And that just came from asking questions and, observations. And I mean, the beautiful thing about the running community is so many people share advice and that sort of stuff.
And willing to share advice.
If you
there's
ask,
no competitive sort of within the...
Everyone's happy to see another runner do well.
Yeah.
They don't...
Yeah.
Oh,
no, I'm joking. I'm teasing because they are.
I think they are.
Everybody
are,
genuinely asks, how well are you going? And they want to make sure you're going well. And I think, I feel like I've interrupted you. Sorry, mate. But I feel like sometimes you need people to go well because it helps you go well. And you were like that to me, mate, because when you started like feeding my legs back to me, I was like, oh, this is good, because you were someone then I was starting to chase. And as you started to improve, I tried to keep that gap as minimal in terms of you getting away.
And it was probably the other way around for me in terms of like you were regularly cracking 20 minutes and I, easily in your sleep. And I was in that sort of 20 to 21. And honestly, when I cracked 20 minutes for the first time, I honestly thought I'd reached the big time.
Yep.
I thought, wow, I've cracked it as a runner, that's it, tick, pat on the back. But, the trap you're in as a runner is you're just always trying to get better, aren't you? You never go, oh, cracking 20 minutes was good enough. Your time still kept coming down as you learnt more and got more disciplined and things like that.
And you did, and you got much faster, which is why we're having this catch up and having this conversation. So let's talk about in a second some of the big stuff that you did both in training and results. But just before we go there, do you think then that intermediary phase, we'll call it that, when you were training 3 to 4 days a week and your warm-ups weren't excessive before parkrun and your warm-downs weren't excessive, that actually boded well for you? Because if you started with what you know now, it may have been way too rich for your body then. Did that intermediary sort of stage act as a nice transition for you to build on?
Yeah, I think that's a great step. I think if anything, to whet the appetite to want more.
Yeah, it's a good call.
Because you've got to invest the time and effort. You've got to enjoy what you're doing, and actually you want to be able to see results. I think if I was to jump into too much too soon, I may have got hurt, or I may have lost the appetite for it, that sort of stuff, the desire. It's a cliche, but everyone talks about the journey, that's a key. That was an important part of the journey, and parkrun is great for that. Not that I ran hard every week and that sort of thing. Parkrun's not about that and that sort of thing, but there's a little burning desire that some days you'd turn up and go, right, today's the day. You didn't tell anyone, but you just sort of, you gunned it, You went out like for me, right, I'm just going to keep Darcy in my sights, and if I can keep him in my sights, then I know I'm on for something special today.
How many times did you lie to me then when I said, are you going to give yourself a bit of a nudge today? How many times did you say no when the answer was yes? And I'm asking in a real cheeky way.
Good question. Probably, I think I was probably pretty honest. That some days
I think you were.
I'd probably say something like, "I'll get to the first K and I'll see how."
Yeah.
Because as a runner, some days your body's just going, "Nah, today's not the
and
day."
you don't know why, but it's just
that's right. Even after going on a bit of a journey, you're still questioning why did it happen? I'd had days when I'd had no breakfast, a cup of tea before I left, and 3 or 4 beers the night before, and ran a blinder.
Yeah.
And other days where
actually, Arthur Lydian subscribes to that. But anyway, go on.
And other days where I'd gone to bed early, done carbo loads, got up early, and did all the right things, and Adamir.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
it's just there's a bit. I mean, there's obviously deeper things.
So let's go back to your 20-minute park run. I remember when you broke that, and I either said to you, I know I said to you at some stage, you can run a lot faster than that. And it's funny what you see in other people. And you did. You got sub-19s, and like it was coming down and down. And where did you get to? I think it was like the 18-minute. It was 18 and change, or just under 18.
I did 18:16.
18:16. So that's a massive. That's 1 minute 46 faster than the sub 20. And so you think, man, what was I doing for that minute 46? So let's talk about that then. The training around that period. What were you doing then in terms of how many sessions per week?
Well, I actually got a bit quicker than that, but that was my best park run.
Park run. Okay, let's talk about your quickest times then. So around about that period, tell us about your training. What were you doing then?
Yeah, so in my quickest times, I was doing performing the best 100k weeks.
100k weeks consistently,
back to back.
Yeah,
back to back, and the funny thing about 100k week for any listeners and that sort of thing, it's like you don't increase your intensity with 100ks. It's your sum of parts. It's all the easy mileage and that sort of thing. Like real simple things like we talked about before, like a longer warm up and a longer warm down. And your Sunday long runs become much longer.
Yeah.
But even things like, some days, when I was biking to work, then I start replacing that with an easy jog to work and an easy jog home. So you could have a double day. So, for me, I could get I could get 20k on a Monday from a 10k in the morning and a 10k.
So there's your run to work and your run home.
Yeah.
How did you find that then? Because I find if I go for a run in the morning and I go in the afternoon, my legs just take forever to warm up. But as you say, you're doing easy mileage. What tips do you have for people then that are looking to run to work?
Well, as you know, we live on a hill. So I would definitely not start with a descent.
That's the hardest.
That's horrible. So I would often drive to the flat.
Yep.
Leave my car there for the day.
Yeah.
And then I'd run with a laptop in my bag.
Yep.
And I'd normally run past work, drop the laptop off, and do an extender.
Okay.
Back.
Good call.
And then and that would be and some days you just got to start out easy, like that first kilometre. I could be over 6 minutes for the kilometre, but just not worry about it. It's just like, you're dusty, you come right.
Yep.
Just like a hangover on a Saturday, you can be a little bit dusty, but an orange juice and a coffee and you start coming good, right?
Look, mate, I'm so pleased to hear you say that, because I was wondering what speed you're running, and I was thinking, man, if he's running 5 minute Ks, I'm dead, because I run 6 minute Ks, right? So we're both comfortably, depending on the length of the event, but usually comfortably on the road sub 4 minute Ks.
Yeah.
And then when you look at 6 minute Ks for training, or just taking it easy, your base runs and everything like that, that's a big gap between the two. And sometimes I feel so bad when I'm running my 6 minute Ks. I'm like, how do I run like your 320s for your 3K or your 1500s or something? How do I get to that speed? Because I couldn't imagine it unless someone was chasing me with a knife right there. That would be the only time I'd be able to speed up. Yeah. So 6 minute Ks, all right, that's good for us to know, man. And that difference between yours out and out speed, but the speed you were training at for that 80%, your base sort of stuff.
Yeah. The easy mileage has to be easy.
Yeah.
Has to be comfortable. I'm not, I'm sure you're familiar with zone 2 training, where effectively you take 185 beats per minute, less your age, and you try and keep your heart rate below about that. And I think there's a lot of merit in that. It means you're not working too hard.
Yep.
And that's important.
Yeah.
Now that's, wristwatches measure it, but are not as accurate as like a chest strap. I think a chest strap heart rate monitor is a good investment for someone that's looking at extending their mileage and that sort of thing. That's that's and again, you can have too much measurement and that sort of thing, but I think that's a good measure that's indicative. And all our heart rates are different.
Yep.
So, you know, my consistency might not be the same as yours and that sort of thing, but it's still mine against mine is still important.
So how were you using your heart rate then? And for someone who's looking to get their heart rate, and you've said what the zone 2 is, and really roughly then if you take 50 away from 185, you're looking at 135. So keep your heart rate 135 or less as an indicator. So did you use your heart rate metric as basically the threshold? So if you could see your heart rate was doing 145, that told you to just slow down, take it easy. Is that how you used it? Or
I tried to.
Okay.
There's various spikes, there's your sort of gradients and
Yep.
that, and Wellington has winds and that sort of stuff. So I didn't take it too literally.
Yep.
But I would as your kilometre beeps, I just do a quick check
Gotcha.
and that sort of
Okay.
stuff, and I just taper back. And that was a discipline I tried to install in my easy running.
Yeah.
You know, didn't worry about it for the tempo stuff or the interval stuff or anything like that. But for the easy stuff, that was a discipline because I wanted to keep it low.
Nice.
Low and easy.
So what did the week look like? How did you get 100 Ks into a week? And again, I think for those that are watching, if you're currently running 60 Ks a week, then your progress to 100 Ks, we're talking maybe at least 8 weeks. Take that with a grain of salt. If you've got a coach and you know that, you know, we have chats with Coach Mark every so often, so reach out to him or get a coach to help you transition, because 60 to 100 is a big change. But let's talk your hundreds. What did your 100 week look like in terms of a roundabout breakdown, Monday through to Sunday?
Yep, I'll get to that. Just quickly,
Okay,
Darcy,
please.
on the 60 to 100,
Yeah.
my recommendation would
please,
be
go
no more than 5% increase week on week.
Okay. So 60 plus 5% is another 3K. So you go to 63, 66,
And in
70.
fact, on Strava does a lovely little week in review. If you do a Monday to Sunday week and then you look at your week in review, you'll see what your weekly mileage is, and Strava has about a 12-week block displaying.
Yep.
And if you have a nice little slope, it's a great
Yep.
indicator that you're not doing too much too soon.
Yeah, perfect.
But my week, and I'll call a week a Monday to Sunday as my week.
Yep.
And Monday, when I was doing my 100K, Monday was a double day in terms of easy mileage to work, easy mileage home.
Yep.
And that was always I always felt good about myself because I got the week off to a good start.
20K on day one.
Up to 20K,
Yeah,
that's
10
right.
plus 10.
Yep,
Okay.
effectively. But easy mileage. Tuesdays and Thursdays were always my interval or fartlek session. And I think a lot of guys our age neglect that because our fast twitch fibers disappeared years ago. But I think that was certainly really important to me.
You can rejuvenate them, do you think? Was that your experience?
Well, you seem to have been able to with you. I've seen your kicks. I never had a kick like that. Can you rejuvenate? Probably, yes. With a lot of strength and all that sort of stuff. But I think for me it was important for variety.
Oh, okay, okay.
In terms of my week was different.
Yep.
My Tuesdays and Thursdays were hard, which made me enjoy my easy running even more.
Yep.
Because I'm like, today's great. It's just an easy 20K.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I know that sounds ridiculous, but that was the mentality. An easy 10K in, an easy 10K home. And mentally, you know how you process information. When you're running, it's your brain just goes to some great places, and you solve all the problems in the world, and then you feel good. So mental health wise, brilliant. You know?
Agreed.
But anyway, back to the week. So Monday double day, easy mileage. Tuesday, Thursday intervals of fartlek.
So can we tease that out a little bit more? So how much was warm up? How much was warm down, and what were you doing for the fartlek in the middle sort of thing?
I'll talk about a Tuesday go-to session for me, 4x1Ks.
Okay.
Right. And what I was trying to do is I'd do a 2 to 3K warm-up. I'd always go down to the local field on the grass.
Again,
I'd recommend particularly at our age, you're off the roads as much as possible. You'll sacrifice speed, but it's important for your joints and that sort of stuff. And it's another form of resistance training, but because you are slower. Anyway, a 4x1K might be a 2 to 3K warm up, and then I'd do a kilometre hard with maybe either a 500 jogging easy.
I was going to ask
to recover,
okay.
or maybe a 2 minute jogging easy. Depending on how much time I had, that sort of stuff.
Yep.
And when I say jogging easy, try and come right back to feel good again.
Yep.
Feel ready to go.
Yeah, gotcha.
And do that four times, so 4 lots of 1K, and I would look for consistency of my kilometre. Your first one's normally a bit rough. Your second one's normally your fastest, and they're really important to switch on for that third and fourth, because that's where concentration is important. And then the longest warm down. So that would be a sort of 10, 12 kilometre session.
Yep.
And then a Wednesday, easy mileage again. Maybe that's when I'd do something like in the bush or up in the hills or something like that. Again, really easy.
Yeah.
Only a single day. I wouldn't do a double day on a Wednesday. Thursday, another session, interval session. So if I did 4x100, 4x1000 on a Tuesday, I might do 6x600 on a Thursday.
Gotcha. Okay.
Always longer Tuesday, shorter Thursday.
Okay.
That my
nice.
sort of pick that one up. When
and
Friday,
that helped you for the weekend if there was a race on, do you think, for you?
Right. If there was racing, it was Saturday, so I was always sort of pointing towards the Saturday.
Yep.
Yep. Friday supposedly rest day, but some days I always counted it as a rest day. But some days I'd just go down to the park, do a 3K warm up, and then some form exercises, couple of strides, and a 2 to 3K warm down, and you could get 7-8K out of that, and you just felt great after. That's a really good session. If you're feeling, everything's tight, everything's sore.
So 2 or 3K warm up, then you're doing some form stuff.
Yep.
So are you talking about like A marches and stuff like that, and just real running? So you're sparking all the different muscle groups that contribute as a combination to your running form, and just, hey, that's an interesting session. And that was Friday.
That was Friday.
But it took nothing out of you, so you considered that like a rest day, but it added more to the
sum of parts, Darcy.
Yeah, sum of parts.
Yeah, summing it. And if you're not sure what exercises to do, Google best form exercises and that sort of thing. There's so much information on Google, that sort of thing, and they'll show you, what Kipchoge does and what so-and-so, what Engelbretson does and all that sort of stuff. And if you can mimic them, then, I'm sure I couldn't. I'm sure my form was atrocious. Kids seem to learn that stuff now a lot easier, and I never had the background of that. So, I was sort of...
But as you say, look, all the information's out there. So, if we've just said like a march, and you're not sure what that is, just look up, running form drills. Just pick, how many would you say? For someone who doesn't know, you'd say
I'd say, 5 or 6 exercises.
Okay, and just stick to that in your block and just...
repeat them 3 or 4 times over 20, 30
They're actually fun. They're actually fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's seriously, sometimes you can watch them and you go, okay, I've got that. And trying to execute.
No, that's you. That's you.
I was like,
remember the ice skater?
There's like 2 left feet.
Anyway, okay, that's exactly.
Couldn't grasp it.
So that's Friday, all right, and now we're heading to the weekend.
Saturday race day.
Race day.
And you can do that if you haven't got a race. The great thing was, joining a club. When you start wanting to get seriously, join a club, because it's a wealth of advice and information and that sort of stuff. But there's some great events you get to do.
It's a whole world I didn't know existed.
Exactly. Yeah.
I was doing like park runs and exteriors and everything, and I thought, I'm okay. And then you join a club, and you you get introduced to a wider range of runners. So what I would say to people that feel intimidated joining a club, don't, because it's something I regret not doing earlier, because it's so friendly. And there are runners that are faster than you, more runners that are faster than you, and more runners that are slower than you that have been in a club for ages because they love the family. And I mean family in a holistic, everyone comes together in a family way. Okay, join a club.
Yeah, great. It's good. And also the variety of those races is cool. That's where, you can travel around the country or just locally and that sort of stuff. Don't be afraid to compete. Like if I'm not very competitive, it sounds too serious. No one's competitive but yourself.
No.
The person that wins doesn't care if you got 17th or no, they'll cheer you across the finish line. And everyone loves a trier.
Yeah.
Yeah. And your goal is 17th this week. I'll try and get 16th next time. Do you know what I mean?
And the yearly cycle too is great because you go, what did I do last year? I want to better that this year. I'm feeling good. Let's go. So
and you also learn a little bit about yourself. I'm good in that type of terrain, or in that's an undulating course, or those conditions, or something.
So
like
you were good at everything. What I learned is I don't like cross country. I don't like things that go up. I don't like things that go down. It had to be just really flat and a massive tailwind, and then I would excel. Straight line, flat, tailwind. I was good. Apart from that, all right. It's Sunday, so tell me about Sunday now. This is rounding out the week.
Yeah, Sunday. By then you've calculated where you want to get to for the week. So when I talked before about advancing it by that 5% type thing, by now you go, well, what do I need to get for the week to get above my 5%? So you might then go, okay, I'm scheduling a 18k run or whatever, something like that.
So most of that 5% change is on the Sunday. You don't miss too much with the rest of the week.
Sunday, Monday, or Wednesday.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, so any of those easy runs,
and Friday.
Gotcha.
On Friday rest day.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay. That's really cool.
You can just add a little bit. How you could jog down to the shops to get your milk.
Yeah.
And that adds to your kilometre mileage.
I found that, when I was going down to the shops, it depended what I was getting. If it was milk, easy. It looked like things that wouldn't jiggle around in the bag and get, if I was picking up kiwi fruit or something, I wouldn't be running because it would come back and just, or plums, because you come home and your plums are mushed, right? You want mushy plums.
The biscuits are all broken together.
Okay. And the packet's half open and eaten because you bogged on the way home and you needed the sugar hit to get home. Okay, I can't remember where I was going with this. But anyway, so that's your week. What else did you do to complement that training then? Because did you just run your 100k weeks or did you do other stuff around it?
I was still biking to work a little bit.
Okay, so cross training, I suppose you call that.
A little bit of cross training.
And you found that helped or?
Yep, I think it helped. It just helps strength. I think biking is great strength work, especially I live up the top of a hill with a laptop in the bag. Biking up that hill was always good for my quads and hamstrings and glutes. So I think that was important, but I did less biking as the running took over. So, one day I was running to and from work. So it's like, well, that was a day I wasn't biking, that sort of stuff. The biking was important. I probably should have been doing more swimming, and my respect goes out to all those people that do swim, but I couldn't get out of the pool quick enough when I was swimming. So I found that quite hassling. I mean, the beauty about running is it's so simple. You lace your shoes up, you go, you're back, and it's all done quite quickly.
The track starts at the front door, and just, I understand. Everything
else is more of an investment, but important. Strength work, important. Like I would, I'd get a tight hammy and that sort of stuff, and Dr. Google would diagnose what I needed to do, and I'd see some exercises and I'd incorporate that. I had a little core routine I do every Monday to Friday, and started out with push-ups and sit-ups, but effectively there was then back and glute and hamstring and lots of those sort of exercises. And then I would also in the evening try, a few times a week do a do a yoga session type thing.
Yep.
And shout out to Adrienne on Google for
Oh,
the yoga lady.
Yeah.
She's great. She's got lots of little vids on, yoga for runners with tired legs or runners and walkers.
Yep.
She's
Yep.
post run, pre run, that sort of stuff. She great. So if you and some are 7-minute work, sessions, and some are longer. So I just do a bit of that. Do a bit of that as well, just to complement that. I'd love to say I could have done more strength work and more thing, but time starts eating into at the end of the day, full-time dad, full-time, work full-time, teenage kids, running around them every week. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm just a weekend warrior too. I'm not a Engelbrett sitting on, getting appearance fees at the Diamond League or anything like that. So you've got to cap it somewhere, I suppose. Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's phenomenal when you think about your 100K weeks and then the stuff that you did complimentary to fit that all in your week. Nice work. And it comes down to, discipline. But as you say, there were added benefits. And for me too, I think I love running. I love what it does for me physically, but mental health is probably the number one, because the thoughts, I take problems on a run and I either solve the problem on the run or I work out how I'm going to solve the problem on the run. And I found it's huge. But the question I've got for you now then is, I think it would be easy for people that are pushed with time to go, I don't have time for the supplementary stuff. I don't have time to get in the pool, don't have time to ride the bike or do any of that conditioning stuff you're talking about. I've only got time, I can squeeze in 100K running. So the question I've got for you is, with your experience with doing the 100K plus the conditioning stuff, would you say to someone, only do the 100K if you could do the conditioning stuff? If you can't do the conditioning stuff, are you saying, or might you suggest still do the 100K, or might you suggest, no, do 80K and then the conditioning stuff? Make sure the conditioning stuff's a big component. How much was it for you in terms of your longevity, helping your training and keeping you, healthy?
Good question. I think the two go hand in glove, and I think you've got to make the time. And you can make the time, even if you think you're time poor, you can make the time. Like, a lot of my mileage came from, I have to get to work anyway, so I incorporate it there. You have to take a lunch break, so you do a run then. In terms of my core, I did my core routine as soon as I got up in the morning, before I jumped in the shower or anything like that.
Before anything,
it takes 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes. I used to do my yoga sessions when I got home in the evening. I'd just sit down, take 10 minutes. Sometimes I remembered a few of them, so I could watch the chase and do that sort of stuff, or if I wasn't on cooking dinner or something like that. So you try and just make the time, squeeze it in somehow. You don't have to spend you don't have to go and spend half an hour doing yoga. You can do it in 10 minutes. And you still benefit.
My routine's 10 minutes. Also from Adrian, I've adapted something, and there's about 3 blocks to it, so it's easy to remember. 3-minute blocks. We're not sponsored by Adrian, but if you want to sponsor us, and we're not sponsored by Strava, but again, if you want to sponsor us, but we're right here. Drop us a line.
But that's right, Darcy. You adapt, and you make what fits you, and because the other thing is, you've got to enjoy this as well. If you're not enjoying it, then the effort has to outweigh the reward has to outweigh the effort. And whatever that reward is, whether it's results or just mental health or physical health or anything, just feeling good about yourself. And a lot of people our age, we don't actually risk much, We ask yourself, when did you last fail at something? And if you're not failing, you're not having a crack, are you? Do you know?
I do.
Kids do it all the time. Kids do it all the time, and but adults, we don't. We're very risk averse. Are we scared of failure? Why?
Yeah. No, I think that's a really good point.
Yeah.
And that's to parallel that to running. I sort of recognized that I was running the same path every time. And I was like, nah, just try something new. You know, might work, might not, whatever. But as you say, and that's just a small example, but you're right. You're right. There's a lot there. And sometimes we get stuck in our own groove a little bit, you know. Okay. Now, so let's talk about our age, because people look at us and they go, that's a pair of good-looking 30-year-olds.
Jeez.
If
Yeah. It's they got, you know.
But so we're in our 50s.
Yep.
We're in our 50s, which freaks me out to say. I'm not worried about being 50, but I just don't think of myself as 50. But anyway, that's a whole different podcast. But let's give some tips then, and I'm going to ask you, what are some tips you'd give to someone in their 40s and 50s to think about? It might relate to their age, or it might not. It might just be because you've given a fantastic rundown in terms of your transition all the way up to a 100K running week, what you did to supplement it, yoga and stuff like that. And yoga wasn't overly arduous. It was 10 minutes. You got your routine. You could do it while TV was going and it was important to you. Swimming, stuff like that. I can't swim. In fact, a little known fact with the local pool, if the lifeguard saves you 3 times within one session, you get a trespass notice. Did you know that?
I did not.
Yeah.
You've executed that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And when you get 2 trespass notices, okay. So yeah, I'm really poor at swimming. I love it, but anyway. So the questions for you, and that is for someone that is in their 40s and 50s, because there's things that you need to be conscious of that you don't think about in your 20s. What sort of things? What advice would you give to someone who is, say, a moderate runner? Say they do 50K a week, they do parkrun, they want to go to next level. What are the sorts of things you get them to think about?
Next level, mileage. Just try and get your mileage up. Yeah. And believe it or not, just running more slower, which sounds contradictory, makes you faster. You build, speed comes with strength, and you build that strength, and it's the bigger base you can build, the higher you can go, I think.
Yep.
You know, to put it into a mountain terms, you know.
Yep.
You know, if you can build this massive base, and in order to do that, you know, the difference between, well, probably applicable at all ages, but particularly at our age, is you've got to be able to listen to the body. You know, we will get niggles and that's normally often too much too soon. You know, write some of the stuff down. What worked for me doesn't necessarily work for everybody, but, you know, some keys for me was trying to stay off the road as much as possible, trying to run easy, you know, not leave your ego at the door, you know, just if some young buck runs past you, you know, all that sort of stuff, let it go, you know.
Yeah, don't play the game of trying to stay in.
None of that. Yeah. Leave the ego at the door, listen to the body. Cross training's good. I'd like to have done more, but probably time poor. But if you do have the opportunity, I mean, some people might not be able to run 6 or 7 times a week, in which case then that biking and swimming is really important, because that still helps build that base. Stretching, yoga, strength work, and you don't have to do much. You don't have to put big weights on things, you know, just using your body. Doing squats without any weight is fantastic for your glutes and engaging your glutes and hamstrings and quads and stuff like that, you know. And probably the last thing I'd say is you write a lot of this down. You know, I use spreadsheets. Some people use training diaries, that sort of stuff, but write it down. When you feel good, when you don't feel good, you know, you can learn a lot about your nutrition or your sleep or your preparation, or do you know what I mean? I mean, some of the time it feels a bit random, but a lot of the time all the lessons, all the history is just repeating itself, you know. Learn from it, you know.
Yeah, writing it down I found really helps you sort of just become consciously aware of all the factors that add up to, you know, a good performance or a bad performance. And the more aware of them, the more you understand what works for you.
Yeah, yeah. And look, and I think variety is important too. You gotta change it up. Like, I think to keep that interest going, don't just focus on park run, for example. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Don't just focus on this goal or that goal. And yeah, do lots of different things. Lots of, you know, because you might perform well in some and not as well in others. And don't get upset. You know, don't see it as failure. See it as part of the process. You know.
Yeah.
Trust the process. So.
No, absolutely.
You know, yeah.
Hey man, some really good insights. Thanks so much for sharing those.
All good.
Yeah, ulterior motive for me is to learn everything you know, and I've told you nothing about what I know. No,
I think on that though, there's always someone doing. You know, there's a lot of better athletes out there than us, right? And they and some people will do more, some people do less. Some people come from a better pedigree. Some people have done it for years.
Yeah.
So much nous up there.
Yeah.
You know, and you can learn a lot from all of them, but at the end of the day, you got to learn it from yourself.
Yep.
You know, you got to make your own mistakes and learn from them, and that's why that monitoring and that accountability to me was quite important. So I understood the inputs to then see what the outputs mean.
Yeah.
You know, to kind of make those conclusions. You know. And yeah, don't get hung up on, you know, what Darcy's doing or what, you know, someone else is doing, because everyone's at a different journey and, you know, different stage, or you know, some are sick, some are injured, some are peaking, some are just better, you know, or everyone's different. So, but you know where you're at, and you can pat yourself on the back, and go, look, you know, the end goal didn't get where I wanted, but I put the effort in, and I should be proud of that, you know, because, you know, that's the journey bit, you know.
That's perfect, man. And that's probably the best point to leave this at. Yeah. Craig, thank you so much for coming along, man. You're welcome, and sharing those insights.
Hopefully, someone listened. I don't know.
If you did listen, you know, click a like or whatever. You know the deal. If you did get a lot of rich insights from that, and you want to pay us back, just hit like, and then the deal's done. You'll find you ask nothing more than that. You know that if you hit subscribe, it's for free, and any other videos like this pop up, you'll be notified about. And any questions, feel free to throw them into the comments, because we do have a small number of viewers. So anything you ask at this stage, we'll be able to answer. Thank you so much, Craig, for joining us. Thank you to those of you that are viewing this and have got all the way through to the end, and it's done a massive service for you by getting through to the end, because there were some real gold nuggets in there. Thanks a lot, Craig.
Cool.
Cheers. Thanks for watching, guys. Take care. Bye.